After 9, we have a quorum. We'll call the Bylaw Committee meeting to order. And first up was approved minutes of, let's see, we have the October and November minutes that, what you call it? October, yeah. We have a bunch of minutes to approve.
There you go.
We got two meetings worth.
Need some coffee at this end of the table.
Was it April?
There was only two that I saw.
Two
Yeah,
last night.
October and November.
Yeah.
There were some older
Yeah,
ones
well,
too, I think.
you put out the December one, didn't you, Kayla?
No, I didn't
Oh, you
put
didn't
the
put them out
December
yet.
one.
Okay.
But I
All
think there's also the ones from like the summer.
Well, they weren't on the
Did we already approve them?
Agenda.
Well, he had over the... Okay, well...
what I saw was October and November.
Yep.
Right.
Kayla took the December one, because that was the first meeting you were secretary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay. Motion second. Any other discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right. We've got, I guess, Tom's on vacation, right? He's out.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll have to skip some of the, okay, farm animals. Do we have anybody have anything on the farm animals?
Farm animals. I got some stuff.
Okay.
I got South Hadley's bylaw regarding that. So
Can you call myself, please?
past that, those are what is required or determines whether you're allowed or you need a special permit.
Okay.
And then this is the regs relative to that. And obviously it's the agricultural, horticultural, and floricultural uses. In a nutshell, if you're in a residential area and you have 5 acres or more, you are allowed agricultural uses. But if you are 5 acres or less, you need a special permit.
Okay.
And then they get into what you're allowed for number of chickens, for instance, things like that. And I know that at the last time I was here, I spoke about my neighbor's chickens on Route 9, and the more I think about it, the more it's annoying. There's 2 roosters and 5 or 6 hens. The hens I could care less about, except they don't stay in their own yard. So I have 2 issues, noise and location. And when my youngest daughter was in middle school, she had chickens. We had them at our house. And I made a pen to keep them in at night because of wild animals. During the day, my daughter and wife felt bad. They wanted the chickens to go run around. And we did it once or twice. They tore up our gardens. They go over to the neighbors and tear up their gardens. I said, no, we can't do this. It's not right. So, again, those are my 2 concerns. The roosters, I mean, there's the one next to Tony Listowski's rooster is still, there's a new one, and I can hear that, but the neighbors close by definitely can hear it. And so that's just annoying to everybody because they don't know if it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. They just do what they need to do.
You're saying we need a Randy Rooster amendment?
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I apologize in advance.
And then the other thing, if you're not familiar with roosters, they can be nasty and they will attack you. And if you get somebody that oh, what pretty little chickens, and then they get near him, and the rooster gets upset because you're
Protect
messing
it.
with
Yeah.
his hens. He gonna get you.
Yeah.
And they do get you.
Yeah, they do.
They can be. I remember as a little kid, my grandparents had chickens. Like you said, chickens are nothing. They can be a nuisance, but make a mess. But you go into if you were the chicken coop or the fenced-in area, and a rooster, as soon as you walked in there, if he got something upset, of course, you're a little kid. It
Yeah.
would scared the tar out of you.
we had when we moved to town, we lived on West Street, and in 5th grade, I think, we hatched some eggs, so everybody got to bring a chicken home. And so I had one chicken. My father felt bad. He went over to the UMass chicken farm and got, I don't know, 5 or 6 more. Well, I can remember one day, my brother, who's 2 years younger than I am, the rooster got upset at him, and we lived, so there was our house, there was a tobacco barn probably 200 feet away. It was a huge barn. It had to be at least 150 feet long, and the rooster chased my brother from the house around that barn and back.
Yeah, they can be something.
It'd be
Mr. Chair?
interesting to see-
Sorry. Go
It'd
ahead.
be interesting to see what
You're
happens
bleeding,
with
sir.
The
Yeah,
bird
thanks.
flu
Go fix that.
and what's going
Oh,
to happen.
yeah.
There's
with
napkins
chickens
right in front of
and
you.
stuff.
That's fine, I'll go wash it up.
Use a fork to tenderize it
Yeah.
first.
There was more than just October and November. I had sent them out, it was like, we had a redo March.
Okay.
Because there were a bunch of mess ups. Then April, I wrote it in the agenda, or the last meeting minutes that went out
Okay.
last night. So if anybody has that one, it was multiple months to get us caught up.
Okay.
So it was, we did November, December at your December meeting, I believe.
I did December.
We
Yeah.
just
It was approved at,
we just
no, last November, December
Yeah.
of '23.
Oh.
But we had multiples to do for this meeting. Just
Okay, we just
updated.
did October, November.
Yeah, so it was March, needed to be redone of '23.
Yep.
No, you don't have,
Oh, why don't you just, rather than go over right now, just email me the list of what needs to be done. We'll put them on the agenda for next time and get them.
Is it the ones that you emailed like the end of December?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
So it's November, December, February, March. Those are the ones that need to be done. So February and March need to be added as well.
And those were all of 23?
Those were all 23 and they were all,
Oh, 23 or 24?
sorry, 24.
Okay, what's on now?
We only approved 2 of them.
Yeah,
So then we'll be up to date with everything for Kayla to take over.
Okay,
And also July was also in that.
February, March, July, October, November.
yeah, so, July, yeah, March, February, March, July. February, March, and July, right?
And you already did October and November?
Yes.
And then Kayla's minutes would be December.
Kayla has December. All right, next.
And I've created a thumb drive for Kayla, it has everything on it.
Okay,
So she's up to date with all your agendas and meeting minutes, both
Good.
approved and not
good.
approved.
Thank
I
you.
keep
go with
hard
that.
copies.
And I made a
Thank you,
hard
Kayla.
copy binder for Jess that has everything in it, everything that was submitted
Okay,
as well.
Sounds like you're on your way out.
No, she's up to date already.
so on the farm animals,
Yes, sir.
it's going to be, that would end up being a zoning bylaw, by the sound of it, right?
That's what it is in South Hadley, yes.
So if we're gonna do something, that's probably what we should be doing here. Is that, we in agreement on that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So, do we want to submit that to the planning board and request the planning board to make an article out of that?
I think it's appropriate, but I haven't heard anybody else say anything.
Okay. What does the rest of the committee think?
I
So-
certainly think it's needed because it's a kind of problem.
It seemed like it's getting to be a bigger problem.
Yes,
Everybody wants to.
they're all over.
You know, I can understand people want to raise their own, especially with the price of egg, they want to raise their own chickens, that's fine. But keep them in your own yard, bottom line.
So this says 5 acres, and I'm sure that came about because of the
That's state
state.
law.
Yeah.
State law defines a farm as 5 acres or more.
Isn't it down to 2 though?
Not that I know of. I'm not aware of that change, but it may, I don't know.
I recall something, I think there's an exception to the 5 that reduces it to 2, depending on what there is.
Okay,
We should check.
okay, yeah, well,
Also, isn't there a rule on space provided for each chicken now?
there was something in here that I
that in
recall
there?
reading.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta have 500 square feet of lot area per unit, meaning per chicken.
Per chicken, okay. All right.
But no more than 12 units on any lot.
Okay. I mean, I guess I would suggest that rather than get that specific, that can we refer to the state regs on space? You know, so that if they change it again, you know, we don't have to
Yeah,
go back
well,
in and.
I agree. What we need to do there is look up and see,
Check the
in other words, instead of us specifying,
Right.
recommend or reference.
References state.
Must meet the other, you know, all other applicable state regs including, or something like
It's
that.
like 200-11, the own standards for the keeping of farm animals.
Yeah, that's gotta come out of that's gotta come out of somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said this is from South Hadley?
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys, Tommy had submitted back in November of '23. He put together Sunderland, multiple for Right to Farm, and they had the 5 acres as well. And then he had put together Sunderland, I think he had South Hadley as well, yeah, South Hadley. And I believe South Deerfield, or Deerfield, he did their farming reference as well. So if you want copies of those, I can make those and get them out to everybody.
That would be good, I think.
19, I think, is on Monday.
What's nice, we over to-
Should be 5:20, you think?
I think they're actually in
I
your,
just got it.
on your thumb drive.
Flash drive?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Kayla's just been tasked with sending out the Sunderland and Deerfield right to farm
Okay.
bylaws to us.
And
Okay.
South Hadley has some references, believe it or not, under their, it's weird, it's under their accessory use instructors. They also have some references to animals, horses and stuff. You have to be a minimum of 25 feet from all property lines, stuff like that, so. Hopefully I labeled them something like this,
Oh, okay.
but those are the ones, that one, this one.
And it's South Hadley.
On Bay Road near West Street Common, I think there's a house that's got, it's kind of run down, it's got goats too, I think.
Goats, chickens.
Because I've gone by a couple times and they're like right on the edge, but they seem to stay out of the street, but there's like nothing stopping them.
Okay.
It should say
I
submitted by
found
Tom.
Deerfield,
Yeah.
and then there's another
There's a lot
one.
of issues.
Is there? Yeah, I
Um,
imagine.
Should say submitted by
Sunderland, yeah.
Tom Quinlan,
Yeah.
1128.
Yes.
Yep.
Trying to think how to rephrase this. Okay. So we want the planning board, do we want to submit to the planning board the actual wording of the bylaw?
At some point, yeah.
Okay.
For this May.
We want to try to get on for this May. I would think,
I
right?
don't see why not, Jimmy.
Okay. Who wants to put together such a bylaw? I will work with them.
I think Randy just volunteered.
All right, I'll attempt.
Okay, yeah.
I'll start.
Send me a draft.
Okay.
And together we can get something put together.
Okay,
I don't think it needs a lot. I think it's pretty good between the 2 or 3 that we have should be able to put something together.
Yeah.
Most importantly, like I think, was mentioned, is to try to, instead of referencing all the so many square feet, there's gotta be a state law regulation, whatever it might be,
yeah,
that we can find that. It'll simplify a whole lot.
Should we get in touch with the animal inspector or the PD? Maybe they have more.
Animal control.
Animal control? Maybe they have more info for you?
sure.
Do you have her number?
No,
I'll forward it to you.
please.
Okay.
especially if she's gonna be the enforcing authority. Hint, hint.
And
She's from Northampton, she's our Northampton person.
Well, I think that's one of our biggest issues, is we wanna pass these bylaws, but we don't know who's the enforcing officer is gonna be.
yeah,
Is this a zoning
There's so many
bylaw?
different departments involved.
yeah. It is in South Hadley.
Okay. All right, we're still waiting on a riverfront bylaw. Town Common, I've distributed a rough draft of a proposal, and it references, the select board actually has guidelines on basic requirements, and they're gonna actually, they have a form application, who's gonna approve it and all that, so that much is fine. And this one is more about, the bylaw is more about technical things, I guess, if you would have, coverage and, police and fire stuff like, and that's police and fire watching over what needs to be done, requirements. And it's very possible when we give this to the select board, that they may just incorporate our recommendations into the guidelines. And that's probably fine too. I don't think it matters so much as long as it's written down someplace what is requested of the various applicants to follow.
I actually, having the opportunity to read all the minutes again, I actually liked what you had said, Paul, about being one consistent message.
Right.
And making it a bylaw, and I think Mitch Cook also had suggested that as well. Making it a bylaw, making it real, like, no parking on the common. So not, you can't park in front of Fonzie's, you can't park in front of Essalon, no parking on the common. So some real, under the bylaw, some real generic no's. And then reference the procedures, policies and procedures under the select board. That would be my opinion.
Which then allows the select board at just a meeting, I assume, to just make changes as they find new things that have come up. Like, whatever, you can't wear stilts.
You can't have chickens.
Can't have chickens out
Acre
there.
or what,
Okay.
unless it's 5 acres.
Oh, yeah,
Comments
one of the
by
things that I just had thought about, metal detecting wasn't included in all this.
But wasn't it covered because it's historic, under the historic,
That, and then I think Mitch had made that recommendation to add that under the bylaw as well, or under the policies.
Yeah, it's,
So, no motorized vehicles of any kind.
it's,
so when someone is using the common though, and they are using parking on the vehicle, they're parking vehicles, that's different from the other, at that point, it's superseded by the agreement that they have
With the
to
town,
use the.
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Jim?
Yeah.
I said that I would look at making the signs for the commons.
Yeah.
I'm working with Gary Berg on that. When I was down in West Springfield to a meeting, they have some really nice signs now, some brand-new signs in some of their parks, especially right across from the city hall. So we're looking at that right now, and we're thinking to propose two types of sign, one more historical looking, old, but another one more modern color graphics and things like that to go through all this. And we'll need the bylaw, we'll reference the bylaw, and we'll put certain things down that we think that need to really be addressed, so they don't have to go to the bylaw, but it's gonna say no metal detecting and things like that, and we'll add that on there.
Yeah, we, that's fine, but we should have that in the bylaw to,
Yes.
only because you just can't say that.
Right.
If somebody gets caught metal detecting, well, there's no law that says that, okay, just because it says on a, yeah,
But
I
think
agree, yeah.
But
Yeah,
it'd
that's
be
fine.
good on the signs,
Yeah.
people just want to go back to the
I
bylaw to
saw,
look at all
I
that.
see what you're saying, yes, okay.
Can't we put a QR code to the bylaw, right on the sign, it says, for
Mhm.
Actually,
instead
yeah,
of rules
that's a
and
great
regs?
idea.
Yeah,
Even if we can't actually get to the bylaw page, we could create a separate page that has just those rules and regs per the bylaw.
That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
that's a good
That
idea,
would go right to it,
yeah,
okay?
that's a real good idea.
And then it should just say, don't even think about it,
Step off the
please.
ground.
we were also thinking at the same time, see what the pricing is, But remember, many years ago, was, I don't know, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, they had the walking tour that they put together. Remember all that?
Yeah, I did that for the
Yeah.
350.
There was a large pamphlet
Yeah.
CPA, that's all I'm saying.
and shows all the different houses. I'm wondering if we could also make a sign for the town commons to have a lot of information on it. There's an interesting how much you can do on these signs now, and what you can actually add. So we're gonna also, I think we'll also look into that, just to see how much it would be. I think it would be nice to have something like that on the common, for people to see and read about the historical houses and some of the information.
So, may I ask a question though? All right, so you come to town and there's all these historic signs and you wanna walk it, where do you park then?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have.
In North
You
Hampton.
you can't park
Right.
on a common.
You can't park on the
Where are
common.
the people gonna park to do the walking tours?
Right.
Well, on Railroad Street, there's quite a number of places to park.
About 7,
Yeah.
And they're taken up a lot by people on,
yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, I'm not trying,
But it's
I'm just
true.
saying that, you know, at least they, you
Well,
know.
you
know,
know,
if we're gonna do
devil's in the details, and that's a
Right,
good one.
I mean.
Because you don't want to, how do I say this? You want to, it's nice to have these kind of information, but then if you start getting tourists parking,
Well, why,
What if you had a sponsor though? What if
If
you
you
Why
had
don't we
somebody?
designate part of the commons strictly for parking? Because you know people are gonna park there anyway, you know darn well.
No.
well,
Well,
if
you do.
it's
I would
off
do it.
the, right on the
I would
bike
do
path
the-
side,
You have the, what do you call it?
you're trying to encourage people
Dawson.
walking in on the bike path,
And park there.
riding bikes.
yeah.
Doesn't necessarily think that everybody's gonna be driving.
You have that Dawson place too that has a number of parking spaces.
Not many.
Mhm.
And then why don't you try and see if you could solicit Primo or Essalon to allow a couple spaces for it, have them, it's a good advertisement for them.
Well, This
You know what I
this
mean?
also sounds like
for-
something the historical commission ought to be
Thinking about.
party
Yeah.
to.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely gonna be presented to us and the select board and the historical commission and, yeah, before we even think about going forward with it. But yeah, it's about time that we start doing it. And this might, we've all talked about the gazebo for concerts and everything. Again, the parking always came up with that. But there's still, again, another push to do that gazebo or have these outdoor concerts. But they'll, this will be the
I'll
third
be honest,
time.
I'm not in favor of any
I know.
any buildings on a town common,
Well, and,
of any type, period. That's my opinion.
but
as
that's
one
your
member.
opinion and that,
That's
but
right. That's
people
right.
want to see the commons used. And this is one of the things that was brought up very well, that it might not be something that the majority wants, but
You know.
it's being brought up again.
You know,
I
just
mean,
like
I'm
supply-
sure you could get benches donated either in memorial to people or from businesses who would, you could put benches all the way up and down there if you wanted places for people to sit to make it a little more welcoming. But
We'll see how things go.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
see, my opinion of the common is the exact opposite of Jimmy's,
Yeah.
in that it's the common. It
needs
was
to be
there
used.
for everybody's use. That's why it's called the common.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that we have to respect it and not do things that are gonna trash it, but
Let's
I think,
use it.
yeah, I think it needs to be utilized.
And I go back to, when we had when they had the beer
Beer garden.
festival there and a few others. And it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
was a good community get-together.
It's a temp structure too, so maybe you could look at a
Yeah.
temporary structure that could go up in the spring and then come down.
And that's in the area where they had that was where all the trees are, so it kind of fits in there rather than putting it
Yes.
where it's in the wide open. So I mean, to Jimmy's point, I get that, but if it's there where we've got a bunch of stuff already, I don't see a big deal with that.
So who would own the structure? The town? And then would people rent it out? And who would put it up? Would that fall on DPW or would that?
You know, it was an example of somebody wanted to set that up to have an event there, they could do that. Like the beer garden did, you know, that wasn't town owned, they set all that up and got permission from the select board to use the space. And then with that procedure and policy, you could use this parking space on the common, because you would be making that request.
So what do we want to do about the town common? Because
Yeah, we got
we're all over the place on this.
I think we should just develop that bylaw that's very open-ended with, just generic with this is definitely a no.
Okay,
And then reference the policies and procedures, and then work with the select board or ask them if they want us to put a draft together for them of
Okay.
policies and procedures detailing all the stuff we just discussed.
okay.
Because then we can add in the police requirements and the fire department and the board of health and.
Under the policies and
Under the
procedures as
policies,
opposed to the
yeah.
bylaw.
So for large venues, it's gonna be across the board.
What's that?
So this isn't just for large venues?
This was for
This is
town common
across the-
Town
specific.
common, town
The
common.
use
This
of-
is a town common bylaw, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I really like I didn't realize how good QR codes are, but just.
Yeah, I would do that with a lot of
You can
stuff.
Put on that.
And
Yeah,
you
we
could
can
do
do
the
that.
same thing with the houses. You could put, single stick with a QR code in front of the houses, and each one goes to what that house is.
Yeah, and West Springfield had those.
And they can also be videos. With someone from historical talking about the house, if there's old pictures, it could actually be a little slideshow, not just a static, this is the house. There's all anytime you go to a QR code, whatever's on that page is gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a video with slides if we have them of an old house and people there and, chickens and
So did
roosters
you
in the
wanna
front
reach out
yard.
to the chair of the historical?
Yeah, I think they should, if they wanna create something like that, and they might be able to get some
Couple of
CPA
things.
money to,
So
I would
those-
think, to
I think
create.
We'll go
those
through
words
the
need
commission
to
on the
be
site,
reversed.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't think it wouldn't, I
Makes
don't
more
think it would
sense.
impact the home, like the homeowner.
Yeah, I'll
rights.
leave
Oh,
this with
I'm
you.
sorry.
But if you incorporated it with their street number.
Yeah,
That's a great
Can
idea.
you sign, that way
Right.
it's not
For
on
the
their property.
associated
it's
yeah,
not walking
you could do it
onto
that
the-
way too, yeah.
It would be out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then this doesn't
The advantage of doing it
make
that
any
way
sense
also
to me. I
with
understand what you're
QR
trying to
codes
say,
is
but
that
it's just,
if things
if you
change,
read it-
you don't have to keep changing the sign.
Sign.
and their
Yeah.
contact
Yeah.
information, but I know you
Typos
wanna
are a
get
lot
it, but
easier
it
to fix
doesn't,
online
doesn't
and anything that got
flow
missed.
nicely
Okay.
to me. And then one last
Well, you
thing.
can either do them, in situ
da-da-da-da-da.
in front of the houses, so that as people walk the street,
Think-
on the sidewalk.
I had a
there's
question, should
stop
we put
flag.
require
My
Or you
concern is
do
just as far as like
maintenance.
mowing the lawn.
Yeah, yeah.
and those
Just look
gonna
at
be
it and
all
read it
the way.
and see
Yeah.
if it makes
So,
sense.
so if you just put one sign at one end of
Okay.
one common and one
Good,
at the
thank you.
other end, where,
And then the individual ones are required anyways, like, put the street number, right, like that. So,
yeah.
okay.
just saying.
QR
Is all.
code's a good idea.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and I'm amazed that Mr. Benjamin is all up on that stuff.
You'd be surprised.
Hey,
I just retired, so I'm.
PR,
out of
PR,
it.
Did you?
that's
I
a
did,
bit,
yep, shut
Pub-
the business.
Congrats.
his
Congratulations.
business is that stuff.
Yeah,
Barcodes are gone,
yeah.
going.
Many people don't even understand those things.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
You see the QR, funny little story, look at a QR code for someplace, and somebody looking at a QR code like, what do I do? But you got a cell phone? I don't have a QR, I says, take your cell phone, put it on camera, look at the QR code and be amazed.
Yeah,
Huh? I says, so let me your camera. Where's camera? Okay, take a picture of it. Don't have to. I says, take a picture and look at it. Look at what comes up. Now hit that button, hit that line. Huh?
Yeah,
I says, your phone's a lot smarter than you are.
I remember the first time my son showed that to me, and I go, this is kind of slick.
It's like magic.
they were rough when they first came out, though.
It was at Chili's, the first time I did it.
Like the menu?
Yes.
She's like, why did it go on there?
But I refuse to do it on payment. No, I need somebody physically here who can be.
You guys didn't hear Mike, but Kayla's over here laughing at all of us because this is her world, and what's
Yeah.
the matter with you people?
We go back to the real handwritten note days here.
To what's a computer?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted the hard copies and she got the.
Yep.
Anyways, okay. Enough with bylaws, I think, right, though. Any updates on changes and other things? Anybody have looking at anything? Look on any updates of their assignments?
Well, I just got the book from Mike, because I was gonna go through all of our past meetings for all the small things we talked about and kind of dismissed. So I thought we could put all those into one bylaw, simple, minor changes,
Great.
so. that's
Have
what
it
we're doing.
scanned and
Yep,
That's what you'll work on?
that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
Make a QR code.
there you go.
So put that on the select board thing, to put the town meeting warrant.
QR code. Okay. Kayla can probably do it.
Do it online?
So Jim, is the large venue one still, are we still working on that one too?
Yeah, that was, who had my like venues?
I think I was helping on that. I had looked into Stockbridge, Tommy, myself.
Oh, that's right, yeah, there was a few people looking at that.
Yeah.
Did you have any updates on that one?
I don't right yet, but I just wanted to ask if we were still on. You still
Yes,
want to
oh
get
yeah,
that
that's,
one done
that's,
first?
it's still on
That
the,
was-
it's still up there, yep.
Is that what do you want to talk with Scott about?
Tommy and I were gonna meet with Scott, just to go through what the requirements should be for that, and then the other one was the solar one, that was on the November minutes, I don't know. We had some more stuff that I was supposed to meet with you to go through. Remember, we held off on it because there was some, I can't remember what it was, there was some.
Oh, we were waiting for, Attorney General approval. We have, the Attorney General approved our solar bylaw.
Gotcha, great.
With virtually no changes, including the prohibiting them in the aquifer, prohibiting battery energy storage in the aquifer recharge area. Every place else they're permitted with or without a solar thing. At the last, it's kind of off the topic, but it's a bit related to that. The planning board did review the energy storage off of Breckenridge, and they turned it down. And the written disapproval went out last week. And so we're waiting to see what happens with the applicant if he decides to pursue appeal or not. That's up to him. I don't know what's going to happen.
So that one was denied by the planning board?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Because the stack is getting pretty big on the information.
yeah.
When they come in.
That was there was a bunch of towns that, it's an interesting thing. There was a whole bunch of towns that scrambled to put in the state. There was various towns that had put different zoning bylaws together prohibiting or approving with various conditions solar projects. And almost all of them were turned down by the Attorney General for one reason or another. Hadley's was approved.
Really? Wow.
Minor
Congratulations.
With minor tweaks, yeah, it was very minor tweaks. The others were almost entirely disapproved. I don't know if anything was, because you can get a bylaw approved where they say, no, you can't do this, but the rest of your thing is approved. Most of the towns had the entire bylaw turned down for whatever reason. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention, I don't really care to know. But Hadley's was approved with like 2 little lines. They says, that's a little bit too fussy, you can't do that, you can't do that. Okay, fine, so we just took them out, and that's the way it is. But we had put a lot of effort into getting this one by the Attorney General, because we disapproving it, not disapproving, not permitting it in the aquifer area is a potential concern. However, Hadley has proof positive of contaminating our aquifer. And so therefore, being cautious is understandable. And there's just a lot of unknowns with energy, with battery storage. You read, if you would, horror stories probably every week about something happening somewhere. I just read that there was a big battery manufacturing facility in California that exploded, had a fire, and it's like still burning as of this past week. And they don't know how bad that is yet because of, they can't get to it.
And there was did you designate a size to that? That it's over a certain size for that storage?
No.
So then
None.
So then
There's
how do you
no
handle-
energy storage permitted in the aquifer at all. You probably could put it onto your house and get away with it.
Well, that's why I'm asking, is residential exempt? Because if you have a house that's in the aquifer recharge area, that's got a, there are some sizable
Let me
battery
think.
storages. Because I'm actually
I
going
don't,
out to,
off the top of my head, I don't remember the wording.
okay. That would be something to look at, because they are, some of them are, they're not huge, but still, if you don't have that designated, then.
Pre-existing, yeah.
I would have to look at that. I honestly don't know the answer off to that one off the top of my head. That's a good point.
And then I think we had discussed having the policies, or either doing policies and procedures, or doing something under a fire department section like police has, for like the placarding and everything. Is that correct? We didn't want to put it in under that battery storage
No,
thing?
we were gonna put it under we were gonna put it under the bylaw section here. And
You did want to include that under the battery storage portion, or were we going to make a separate? I thought we were discussing making a separate.
I thought we were gonna make it part.
Because it's for solar, not for battery storage so much. You know what I mean? It's part of the plan review for installing solar, either.
Are you recommending we do it as a zoning bylaw? Or as a general
No, you were
bylaw?
going to do it as a general bylaw. I was just wondering where you were going to put it. I don't think we were putting it into the battery storage portion though.
No, because there is no battery storage in the general, it's all under
It's under
zoning.
zoning, okay.
So I was gonna put it under,
A solar section of,
I would look at.
So then here we go getting into we got all this battery storage stuff in the zoning bylaw, and then we got this little thing pertinent to it in the general bylaw, and I think that causes problems.
but the battery it's completely, the battery storage is completely independent of that. This is for like the shut-offs and stuff, so it would be, I would say it would be applicable under a solar bylaw versus a zoning bylaw. You know what I mean? So it should
Yeah,
be,
okay, so you're just talking about
There's a
signage.
there's a
Signage,
catch 22 there. If you put it under the zoning bylaw, and you could, it's only effective as of the date of publication in the newspaper.
Right,
If you put it in the general bylaw, you could make it retroactive to a date within reason.
Yep.
I'm
that's
not
what
sure
we're
how
doing.
that would stand up to approval, but we could try that.
we were just gonna go back to when they implemented the requirements for that, which I think was the
Right.
end of 22 or 23.
You
23.
could reference it in the zone, with reference.
But we wanted to get it so it was
No, I get it.
applicable, so
I'm just
making
saying,
it
if
so.
somebody wants to go to the, is interested, they're gonna go to the zoning, they're not gonna go to the general. They're gonna assume everything is in that zoning section. So
so,
if you just reference it,
but what she's saying is just reference it in the zoning bylaw, reference C, this in the general bylaw,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is fine. Then
Yeah,
it would
that
still be,
that could be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would still be retro though, under that?
yeah, if it's in
Yes,
the,
as long as it is,
general.
like I said, I'm not sure, you wanna make it, what's the date you wanna make this effective of?
I have to look and see what the date was that they actually adopted that. I don't know if it's in there. I want to say it was the end of 22, but I'll confirm. I think it was December of 22, but I'll confirm.
23 or 22?
22,
Wow, that far back.
but I'll confirm that for you.
Yeah,
And
the
then-
only thing is, we might have a problem trying to go backwards and have them put this onto their existing placards.
But the majority of the companies have been doing it since.
Okay.
Because we actually, like I said, that goes out, that's part of their plan review. It's just we have a few folks that, literally one, that complains about it. Because he's saying that it's not part of the
Okay.
NFPA requirement, which isn't true, but we figured if we made it the bylaw, then he wouldn't have the opportunity to argue with us. And it's really simple, we're just asking for an emergency contact number on the required placard to save them having to make another one that has the emergency contact on it. So we could build that out under that new fire department section we were talking about, have it reference that, and then have that in there, because it is under.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about doing that. Okay. Well, that ends up for the spring town meeting. Therefore, we're hoping to get possibly the animal control one,
Yeah,
maybe the town common. Hope we'll try to go for that one. This, one we just talked about with the solar name and phone number on the placard. And let's just look up what that one is. And depending how many items you find in the general, once we get those, there's probably not going to be a whole lot. One of the things the select board did ask me was how long I thought this committee would be active. They thought it was, is this a permanent? I says, no, there's no way this committee wants to be a permanent bylaw committee. I said, when we originally started, Carolyn thought that in Wilbraham, I think is where she's from, she said it took like 4 or 5 years. I says, and we kind of thought that was excessive. Well, I says, if you had a committee that was just dedicated to this, it'd be one thing. I said, but this is all part-time for everybody else on the committee. I says, so it's gonna take that. I says, but I think that, I said, we hopefully, will be winding down in the next year, a couple of years. And if we get this stuff done, I think the odds and ends that after this town meeting may be minor.
Well, Randy, what do you, as a select board member, what are some of the major issues with bylaws that you guys face? Is there anything that you guys want us to focus on that we're not focusing on?
the biggest one that comes to my mind is the large venues. Because that always
Problematic.
is problematic for sure. And, you know, Deerfield's going through similar issues with Treehouse. There was an article in the paper, I think it was yesterday, where the neighbors were complaining about the base. And
No,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. So it's a common thing, and I've been after that since day one. So I think that's huge. Nothing else really comes to mind
Like no
at this
resident complaints
point.
about certain things, or?
Just the chickens.
Okay,
So the farming part. yeah.
So we're addressing the select board's concerns.
Yeah, and the venues will take care of, I think, the town common, not town common, but that is the other issue of venues around town we've got to look at. And I think, you're working on that, or you'll be working on that with Tommy and others. And if we can get something on that, that would be great, even if it's not for the town meeting, but we want to put something together properly as much we can. Possibly, Tommy got a lot of contacts in the surrounding community, but maybe he can contact some of the, like if other towns are having similar issues.
That Stockbridge one that I got from Mass Emergency Management, that was actually sent out specifically because of the large venues situations. So that one was a good reference. It just needed to be more encompassing of different departments. Because
Yep.
Stockbridge, it was real heavy just on police, because I think they handle everything. But it would be some simple changes.
But we're gonna have a checklist for a large
Correct.
venue.
Yeah.
To show
Yeah.
every department they have to go to. For
Yep.
people
Yeah.
with the ignorance, I didn't know I had to go.
Which-
I know years ago
which we
Molly
have
was
to-
working on this, some sort of checklist.
We actually,
Well,
Jennifer
it-
has it. Jennifer does have that.
It's not unlike the guidelines for the select board has for large venues, and that they have a checklist,
Yep.
and they also have sign off by, where is it? Police, fire, building,
Yeah.
DPW, and select board. Okay, so it would be a similar sign off, it might be more departments, probably DPW and others, whatever, it would be included. And if they don't need to, if there's nothing for that particular department to oversee, then okay, they just, forget
And
it, they could still sign up as not applicable.
The other one that you had, Jim, you had been asked about a recycling thing, and we had discussed in the November meeting, just doing a very generic, again,
Yeah.
that every business should have a plan that they reference for recycling. I don't know if you wanted to add that in, because that should be pretty simple, because it's not putting a plan together, it's just saying that the town expects that, you know, every business has some type of a refuse recycling plan. And then you can, you had, I believe, stated that they should reference Board of Health, because Board of
Yeah.
Health does require approvals for trash vendors that are going through your town. They're supposed to be all licensed. And then the other big part would be referencing, we should put that into that fire section, is they're supposed to have combustible rubbish permits for the fire department if you have a dumpster over 24 hours on your site.
Say that again, the last part about the combustible?
So if you have a combustible rubbish or dumpster for more than 24 hours on site, that's 6 yards or more, you're required to pull a permit through the fire department for it. Because there are requirements under NFPA for where you can put it, and then
Is that a
emergency.
yearly permit or a one-time permit?
It depends. So if, for example, Walmart, those places, dumpster permits are supposed to come in annually. But you also have roll-offs where somebody's doing a project that, you know, doing a kind of update at 110 Grill or whatever. They're supposed to pull a permit so we can make sure it's not in the fire lane, it's.
Is
so
that for anybody or a business?
Is this just commercial you're
That's for,
talking?
basically, it's for anything. It's residential and
So
commercial,
if
but
I-
we don't police it.
Yeah, so if I have a dumpster on my property to throw, I rent from, say, Dave Wickles, it's just as an example. There's combustibles in there, guaranteed. I need to get a permit from you to do
If it's
have,
over 6 yards, so that's.
almost every dumpster's over 6 yards.
Actually, the residential ones, unless they're doing some sort of a project, you're usually seeing the 2-yard dumpster. So, for example, our dumpster at the public safety complex, that's a 2-yard dumpster that gets picked
Okay,
up every.
when any dumpster I've rented for like a 2-week period of time, it is 20 yards.
Right, yes, those are the ones that are permitted, yes.
So I would need to pull a permit
You
from
need
you
to
for
pull a
that.
permit. I'm talking if you have one, like if you have a rental property and you have a 2-yard or 4-yard dumpster there for your tenants, that's not required to be permitted.
So like Hadley Crossing, we have two
Correct.
large dumpsters.
If it's over that yard, that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
You would be exempt from it. It's 6 or 8 yards or over
Okay.
for a 24-hour period.
So if I have this trash dumpster that I'm throwing stuff in, I would need a permit from you for that, from the
Yes.
fire department.
Correct.
Unless it's under
Unless it's
24
under
hours.
that. Under
Yeah.
24 hours and under the.
Yeah, it's always over 24 hours, because you typically get these things for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I think the smallest you can get from them is 10 yard.
How are
Yes.
people supposed to know that though?
It's on the website. And again, we don't police it because we would be stopping it
So,
1,000 times a
so
week.
we were requiring a dumpster company or the property owner?
The property owner's responsible
Property owner,
for it,
yes.
unfortunately. The dumpster company is responsible under the Board of Health to
Right.
make sure that they are approved to operate.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I don't think I've ever known that there was a requirement. I gotta see what size.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I
But
they're certainly out of
had
your
one of
way.
those things on my
We don't,
property.
again, we don't
Three.
police it, and it only usually comes up when we have the folks that dump their hot ashes or the cigarette butts in it, and they have the dumpster up against the house.
You're going after
Is that a
me,
problem?
Jimmy.
Well, mine's always, if anyone ever had it, if the dumpster ever caught on fire in my yard, it's always been away from, it would just sit there and burn out, because it's always been
Well, most of the
ways away
It
from
was
the
way too
house.
full, so I needed to.
Yeah,
lean the lever.
Yeah.
No, and I've never had a problem,
Yeah.
I don't, nobody smokes. Okay,
So would that be, would you reference the fire department requirements in the recycling bylaw?
Yeah,
Okay.
we would reference that in the Board of Health that way.
And how long's the permit for?
If you're talking about, like, if you are,
Permit.
I don't think you're over that threshold.
I don't think I am, but I'm just curious.
It would
What
be an annual permit for that.
annual permit if somebody has to get
How
it?
much is that?
It's $25.
So that should be, if it's not already on the building department
It is.
site, oh, it is there?
It's actually, they're actually supposed to sign off on that, yes.
So-
Okay.
So, I mean, should that, I mean, I just wonder, shouldn't you send something out to, I mean, there's only a handful of companies that give dumpsters in our city, town rather, so would it pay to send letters to them?
We've done that, but they don't care.
They don't care?
They don't
okay.
care because they don't have to.
Because they're not
Right, they're not
responsible
the
for
permit, okay.
We had actually discussed that, that would be a discussion of making that a bylaw, stating that the dumpster company is responsible for pulling that.
Yeah.
That way it takes it out of the hand of the owner
Yeah, but
not
that's,
knowing,
yeah, I
but
could see
again,
that
it
being a
was.
problem too.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
I'm not sure you wanna make it the responsibility of the dumpster, because then the homeowner wouldn't care.
And they would charge them double for that
Yeah.
process.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
So-
no, it would,
Yeah, there'd be extra paperwork.
Yep.
Yeah, $25 permit, $25 permit would turn it to be probably
100.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 75 or 100.
And it's not if you have, so you have some of these roofing companies that have their dumpsters mounted on their
Right.
vehicles now, so they load them during the day and they go away,
Right.
that's not, that's exempt from it.
Right.
And it's moved at the end of the day.
Okay,
Learn something new every day.
That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Some of us do.
okay. We got enough. All right,
Need a motion?
I just wanna make sure we got everything else covered. Yes,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is history. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your help.